This is the Independence Blue Cross Monday Night Kickoff Show, a weekly broadcast that breaks down each Eagles game better than anyone else. The Independence Blue Cross Monday Night Kickoff Show is broadcasting live from the Great American Pub in Conshohocken and is heard on both 1490 WBCB and 107.3 FM and is brought to you by the Great American Pub, Independence Blue Cross, Penn Community Bank, Fogo de Show, and Hand and Stone Spa. We now go live to the Great American Pub in Conshohocken for the Independence Blue Cross Monday Night Kickoff Show. Now, here are your hosts, Paul Domowitch and Paul Jolovitz.
And welcome everybody to the beautiful Great American Pub in Conshohocken on a beautiful Monday night after the Eagles' 10th straight win over the Pittsburgh Steelers. This is the Independence Blue Cross Monday Night Kickoff right here on 1490 WBCB and 107.3 FM. I am Paul Jolovitz. To my left is my close namesake, Paul Domowitch. How you doing, Domo?
Doing great, Charlie. And I'm told that you did wash that shirt before you came here.
Wearing my lucky Brandon Graham jersey every week now until they lose, which I don't think will be for a while. We have a great guest tonight. He's invincible. What else can you say? Nothing you can say, but Mark Wahlberg played him in a movie. Nobody else in this room can say that. The one and only Vince Papale. How are you, Vince?
Thank you. Yeah, I'm doing great. Thanks very much. Yeah, that was pretty cool. I was at the game yesterday, and I was walking in the underbelly. He's sitting over there at the stadium. Yeah. And I'm with Sean Landetta because we were doing a few pregame events.
He's our guest next week.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Oh, cool. Yeah, he's the best, man. I'll tell you. Sean's got some stories.
Yeah.
But as we're there, I see this tall, good-looking guy. He's coming down here. It was Brady, Tom Brady.
Yeah.
And I had met Tom before through Mark. So I busted his chops a little bit. I said, hey, man, I said, Mark Wahlberg says hi. He says, oh, yeah, tell him I said hi back. He said, well, who are you to know Mark Wahlberg? I said, I'm the guy he played in the movie. And then he realized, it was pretty cool to get to see Tom Brady doing that. I think he's doing a great job. But yeah, it's great to be here. It's great to be at Conshohocken. I used to live right down the street.
No kidding.
Where'd you live?
I can't say. I forget the name of the apartment complex, just right on the road, before I got married. And this is great. So Conshohocken was part of my party land, Wow. But Domo, man, I'll tell you, we had some good times together, didn't we? With Stars.
Back with the Stars.
Yeah, man. I hear from Mike McGuire all the time. I'll tell him we'll have to get a picture and I'll send it out to him. As a matter of fact, I think he's sniffed too much of that, that glue or whatever they used,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all good. So it's great to be here, and what a great win for the Eagles yesterday. That was awesome.
10 in a row. They beat the Pittsburgh Steelers, obviously. Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown reversed the narrative from last week, which I thought would happen. I thought the Eagles would use last week as a huge positive. I love what Brandon Graham said. I think he would say it again if he had to. Vince, you were on teams that, obviously, with the Eagles with Coach Vermeil. By the way, we want to send out best wishes to Coach Vermeil, who had some back surgery last week.
Yeah, I reached out to him this morning to make sure he was all right. He said he was in close to 70 hours of surgeries. And
70 hours?
Yeah, and he said he's got 10 slices. He's going to have 10 scars in his back, but he's fine. If anybody's a fighter, it's Dick Vermeil.
Well, another guy who's a fighter, I went to see him on Friday, is Bill Berge, the year-old who's not doing well, unfortunately. He's fighting the brave fight, and God bless, and everybody sends wishes out to Bill Berge, who also sends wishes out to everybody who is supporting and fighting for him. And we wish Bill a speedy recovery, and hopefully a miracle can happen. Vince, yesterday, this team overcame a tough week. Nick Sirianni, I thought, was great in internalizing what went on and then having a game plan and making it about football and not drama. I think the drama was excessive, but I think it helped the Eagles. 10 wins in a row. They're the best team in the NFL right now?
It'd be tough to dispute it. I'd say that right now. This was the one. I think, you get past them, and there was just no question about it right from the beginning. They had those couple, they had a couple fumbles, but, to be able to recover from that, and they just showed their character, and the defense just shut everything down as they've been doing. And Jalen was on. I mean, he was right from the beginning. Everything that everybody was saying, hanging onto the ball too long, not able to find a secondary receiver, all those things. I don't know what was going on in our locker room during the week, but I'll tell you, maybe they should have, they should have that kind of controversy every once in a while, bring them back together.
Exactly.
But it was beautiful.
Jalen said after the game, just because we haven't done it, I don't remember, this isn't the exact quote, this is paraphrasing, just because we haven't done it doesn't mean we can't. I think he showed that yesterday, maybe his best game of the year. They opened it up a little bit. He found guys over the middle, didn't hold the ball too long, with a broken finger. Are we too quick to react to Jalen every 5 seconds what he does? To me, you just look at the big picture, and the big picture says winner.
Yeah, I mean, the criticism of him I thought was a little bit over the top the week before, but I mean, he corrected some things he was not doing well. He was not pulling the trigger on certain throws. Mm-hmm. He wouldn't go over the middle with it. A week before on a slant to A.J. Brown in the end zone, he wouldn't make that throw. Yesterday he did. So I mean, clearly they talked. He and Nick talked, and he made an attempt yesterday to be a different quarterback, and I thought it worked very well.
All right, either one of you guys can handle this one. Somebody comes to you, said after Game 4 during the Eagles' bye week, I'm taking a trip to Antarctica for a couple of months. I'll come back and see what's going on. The Eagles are 2-2, going nowhere fast, throwing the ball all over the place. Saquon was okay, but nothing special yet. Came back yesterday, saw the score, saw the 10 in a row, and went, what? What's the biggest change, Vince?
I think they're starting to believe in each other, and I see a different sideline. I see one that's got a lot of energy now, and before it didn't have that. It's even almost showing up in Jalen. I wish once in a while I'd see an offensive coordinator or the backup quarterback or somebody sitting next to him. That would make me feel a little bit more comfortable. But it just seems that they're playing with a lot more confidence, and they're gelling. The special teams are making the plays, and the defense. That's what everybody's talking about is the defense right now, and the plays that they're making. And yesterday proved that the guy can do it. And, his timing was beautiful. But, the thing with the quarterbacks, they've always been criticizing no matter what. Here in Philadelphia, they're always going to find fault in them. So it's just part of the deal and part of the game. So, but he improved dramatically and astronomically since last week.
Domo, I will argue that turnovers were the story of the game yesterday. We always talk about fast start. They didn't score a touchdown, got a field goal on the first drive, but the turnover battle, getting 2 turnovers in the first quarter and having the Steelers only wind up with 3 points, the resilience of that, and then to me the biggest play in the game, the Najee Harris fumble, which led to the Eagles' drive and turned it around in the second half, the time of possession, the amount of possessions, but to me the turnovers turned the game around. You agree?
Yeah, I mean, the Najee Harris one was clearly the turning point in this game. They were hanging on to a 7-point lead at the time, and after they got the ball back, the momentum just swung. The first 2, I mean, it just tells you what we've been watching since week 5 or week 6 with this defense. I mean, they're so resilient. They were put in some bad situations there early and just stuffed Russell Wilson, who had been hot, stuffed Najee Harris. I mean, that's you asked earlier. You were asking Vince about if somebody came after that it was asleep since week 4 and wondered what had happened. This defense is a big part of what has happened. I mean, they grew up. They've gotten comfortable with Vic Fangio's defense, and they're just playing so well right now.
And they're young. Quinton Mitchell, the favorite now for Defensive Rookie of the Year. Jalen Carter, Linson on the sideline yesterday, was dominant again yesterday. Nakobe Dean, the edge with Nolan Smith. Josh Sweat got a sack. The secondary, I mean, Vince, this defense is not only really good, it's really young and supposed to get a lot better, aren't they?
Well, that's the rumor. You would expect that would happen with a little bit of experience. But let's look at on the offensive side real quickly because Jaquan didn't have his typical game. He didn't have that yardage and I would think that any team that would come in and they say, if we can stop 26, we can win this football game. And the thing is that Hurts just took it away from him. And and he's doing it with 2 receivers. Yeah, and he's got his starting tight end out, And the other couple, 2 or 3 receivers out there, they're not giving anything to them. So
why aren't you going out there?
Well, I would love to see my son out there, but that's another story.
We'll talk about
yeah, we could talk about that one. But but he's doing it with that, and everybody knows. That if you shut them down, you're going to shut down the passing game, and they weren't able to do it yesterday. And a lot of it was that he wasn't afraid to take the risk. He wasn't afraid to throw that 50-50 ball. And some great route running. I don't think there's a better guy. There's a better route runner than we have in number 6. So it was fun to watch. And from my perspective, because I was all over the place and doing stuff for the Birds, and that was real exciting because I came in from Florida to do this. And it was great. I came away a real, because I just seen the last games on TV, so all I'm hearing, from down in Florida, I wasn't there personally. I couldn't feel the passion, but when you were there, and it was going through the fans in the beginning and the tailgates and the passion that was there, and this was like 12:30, 1 o'clock, and they were ready to roll, man. The players and the coach and the fans were ready to roll. It was really exciting to be a part of that yesterday.
I want to get back to that in 1 second, because obviously you were a big factor at the game and living where you are and being who you are. You're such a part of Eagle lore. But, Domo, something Vince said and something we talked about last week, the last couple weeks, this team or any team that wants to win a Super Bowl better be ready to do it in a couple different ways. If they're stopping, if they're hitting the curveball, you got to throw the fastball, or vice versa. And they stopped Saquon to a great extent, banged up, missed some time in the second quarter, may still be banged up. I think it'll be fine, but it is a huge test to say we're taking your number 1 option away. You got to bring it. But the Eagles have tremendous quarterback, great wide receivers, great offensive line. They're equipped to do that, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, there's not one thing that's going to shut down this offense, and there's not one person. I mean, Saquon had some big runs yesterday. He had a 22-yard carry. I think he had an 11-yard carry. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, he did break a few, but there were a lot where, he tried that spin move at the line of scrimmage and got stuffed. But another thing that happened yesterday was, Kenny Gainwell, who's his backup,
terrific,
ended up being a huge part of that win. I mean, he had 3 catches for 40 yards. Mm-hmm. All of them on third down, which resulted in first downs, 2 in the red zone. He made some great plays, and that's this team is so deep that we haven't even touched on people like Will Shipley, who, if they needed, I think he's going to be a good player someday. But they just, that offensive line, people get hurt yesterday. Lane Johnson goes out for a couple snaps. They bring in Fred Johnson. They don't flinch. Mm-hmm. Their right guard gets hurt, or they just keep finding replacements. They have so much depth.
All right, replacements, Vince. That leads me to our next area. You were a replacement in some ways when you came onto the Eagles to try out with Coach Vermeil. Your unbelievable story led to a movie, Invincible. Mark Wahlberg played you. It led to lifetime fame and fortune and fun in Philadelphia and beyond. When you come to a game, when Vince Papale shows up at a game, what's it like? What'd you do? You talk about the passion. Give me a little flavor of your day yesterday.
Well, I came in and got in, and I went with my son, Vinny, and his fiancée, Mackenzie, and there was a tailgate for cancer, and I'm a cancer survivor, so we went up right off Wells Fargo all the way to the back of the parking lot there, and we did that. And then I rushed in, and I was with a couple of some of the alums, so we had a great time. We went through the cart and actually went out into the fans and the tailgates, and on our carts was our name, And I told my wife, and I was talking to her, I cried yesterday, and I'll start crying now. The reaction that I got from the fans, and it was just it was incredible, and it just made me feel how much I really missed Philadelphia when I hear about Philly fans or Eagles fans and this and that. Man, I tell you, I saw what a real fan was yesterday, and it was great. So they had me doing that, and then we went up to Tour Club, and I'm there with Sean Landetta. We're signing autographs for an hour, and then I went up and did something with Comcast and had a great time, and I celebrated the win like everybody else. I had a beer, So,
a beer?
Well, maybe a couple more beers than a beer. That looks like a nice beer he's drinking right over there.
We got some here at the Great American Pub for you.
Yeah.
So where are you living now? What are you doing?
I live in Jupiter, Florida. I'm there with my wife of 31 years, Janet. If you saw the movie Invincible, she's portrayed as a Giants fan. And she was actually a world-class gymnast for the USA and coached at the University of Pennsylvania, coached and taught gymnastics all over the world. So we got that. My daughter, Gabriella, who used to work with the 76ers, she did all the entertainment for the Sixers. And COVID shut that down. She came down and got a taste of Florida real estate, and she found her man. So she's getting married in June.
Nice.
My son's getting married in May, and he's still playing a little bit of ball. And so I live in Jupiter, Florida, on a golf course called Turtle Creek, and every once in a while I'll see Ricky Fowler, or who's that guy, Tiger,
Johnson. Isn't it like an NFL enclave? I mean, a lot of golfers, but Parcells, Belichick, a lot of people have houses in Jupiter. Cody Parkey, Mr. Doink Doink.
Well, yeah, Cody is right. I live in Jupiter, and he went to Jupiter High School.
Yeah.
And I've done a little work with the high school and do work a little bit with our wide receivers. But I'm just enjoying life, and I thought that maybe I'd sort of be able to semi-retire, but. With the success of the Eagles now, it's just, I'm getting drawn around the country. I'm getting some great speaking engagements.
Hopefully you won't be worried about semi-retiring until after February 8th in New Orleans, which we hope the Eagles are at. Got to win the Super Bowl. We will see. We'll talk more about it. We'll talk about Vince's son, Vinny. We'll talk about, obviously, Mark Wahlberg in the movie, and the movie about Paul Domowitch, which is coming out with, I'm not sure who playing you, Domo. I'm sure
I don't know either.
Yeah. Chris Herman, our producer, said, who would play me, who would play you in a movie? Nobody would want to play me. We'll talk about you and everything else. But the Independence Blue Cross Monday Night Kickoff continues. Thank you to Chuck. Thank you to Jerry. Thank you to Guy. Great American Pub in Conshohocken. Great place. We're coming back in a second.
Yay.
Since 1991, the Great American Pub in Conshohocken has been offering an authentic and memorable experience for guests looking to dine in or enjoy the bar and nightlife. Located at 123 Fayette Street in Conshohocken, the Great American Pub has all your craft beer selections and some of the best food options anywhere. While you're there trying their buffalo chicken spring rolls or Maryland crab cakes, enjoy your favorite sporting events on their numerous televisions surrounding the bar. Visit them at 123 Fayette Street in Conshohocken or learn more online at thegreatamericanpub.com.
At Independence Blue Cross, we take care of the people who take care of you. Everyday heroes like firefighters, police officers, teachers, farmers, and healthcare workers. Doctors and hospitals across the region have IBX, and they know what it means to have reliable access to care. So whether you're saving lives or just trying to live a healthier life, count on IBX, the region's #1 health insurer for 85 years. Learn more at IBX.com.
A truly unique dining experience awaits you at Fogo de Chão. Fogo de Chão awes patrons with their history and tradition of authentic Brazilian steakhouse, offering many cuts of decadent fire-roasted meats prepared over an open fire and served tableside by trained gaucho chefs. Fogo de Chão, 1337 Chestnut Street in Center City, Philadelphia. For reservations, go to www.fogo.com or call 215-636-9700.
Head out to Dion Square, located at South Oxford Valley and South Olds Boulevard, to get all your essentials in one place, with the following businesses ready to serve you: Pat Dion Beverages, CVS Pharmacy, Hair Cuttery, Smile Culture Dental, Biomat, Liberty Auto Tags, Pennsylvania Fine Wine and Spirits, Lee's Hoagie House, R&J Smoothies and Juices, AutoZone, and First National Bank and Trust of Newtown. Make Dion Square your one stop for all your shopping needs at South Oxford Valley Road and South Olds Boulevard in Fairless Hills.
We now return to the Great American Pub in Conshohocken for the Independence Blue Cross Monday Night Kickoff Show. Once again, here are your hosts, Paul Domowitch and Paul Jolovitz.
And welcome back to the Independence Blue Cross Monday Night Kickoff Show, live from the Great American Pub in Conshohocken, where we are every week, 6 to 7. Sean Liddell will be here next week, who was with Vince yesterday. Don't forget you can watch the show live at WBCBSports.com and YouTube live by searching WBCB Sports. Vince Papale, our guest. Vince, when you have a situation like last week, a lot of people say, what does Nick Sirianni do coaching the Eagles? Not the offensive coordinator, not the defensive coordinator, doesn't call the plays. But to me, the mental side, the calming down of a team in chaos is a huge thing. And I think Nick Sirianni, I'm not sure what he did, but I know he wins football games. And it was his finest moment as an Eagle, in my opinion. I'm not even sure why. How important is that to a team?
Well, if you have a guy like Dick Vermeil, obviously, he's going to bring things together. It's funny you said that because when you see him and they're focusing on him, and you're watching all the games I'm watching down in Florida, he's just walking down the sideline. There's no interaction with players and there's no interaction with any of the coordinators or anything like that. And, he's curious what does he do, but he pulls it together.
Yep.
And for whatever it is, he's the glue, and that's so very important. And but I did have an opportunity to talk to one of the players. I said, well, what's he like during the week? He says, he's great. He comes in all the meetings, he's very positive, and that's what they need. You need that positivity. And, the coordinators are the ones going to make it run, So, the offense beginning to gel with what the offense coordinator is doing, the defense coordinator, with his great system. It took a while for some of the guys, and they got a lot of young kids, that are there, and eventually now it's gotten to the point where they can depend on them, and it's something really special to watch. And the special teams, they're making the plays they have to make, and they're not making the big mistakes. And this dynamic kickoff, I'm still trying to figure that one out.
Don't change that.
Guys, hey Tomo, guys like me, I don't have a job. I mean, they took all the dirty stuff that I did away from me.
It's not much fun to watch.
No, it isn't. But that's okay. I close my eyes on kickoffs.
Yeah. I don't know if it's his finest moment, Jolly. I mean, he did make it to the Super Bowl 2 years ago, but I think he's adjusting much better than early on in the season to his role. I mean, he's a CEO coach now. There's a lot of them in the league. It's not like he doesn't have a function. I mean, just because he's not running the offense or the defense,
right?
I mean, you need somebody that's overseeing the whole role, just like you do with a business. And he's doing a good job at that. He's starting to warm up to it. I mean, I knew they'd straighten out what happened with AJ and Jalen. I mean, my God, Jalen's the godfather of one of his AJ's kids. I mean, they were going to work it out. It wasn't a big deal. They managed to kind of use it now as a us against them type of deal. Which is always seems to work for in professional sports.
I think this is way too overblown. Listen, conflict is good. Everybody acts like every time somebody says something in a press conference or after a game, oh, my God, what are they going to do? The world's breaking apart. I think it's a good thing. Vince, I asked Bill Bergey on Friday, did you not like anybody, one of your teammates? I'm not going to say who, because, I didn't like a guy at all. But we were able to play together on Sunday.
Uh-huh.
How important is it to you? Everybody in this room works somewhere. I guarantee you where they don't like someone, don't get along with them. But can you get along when you work? Can you make it a common goal? Did you not like anybody when you played for the Eagles or any other team? And how were you able to make it work on Sunday?
Well, I didn't like anybody that I played against, but I like them now, I mean, They weren't my friends in the field. There was one guy I didn't particularly care for because he was causing me a little bit of problem in the locker room. But he was on the opposite side, and I didn't really give too much. I mean, some of the guys were riding me pretty hard. Still, all the way through the rookie season, it felt like I had to prove myself every time I went out there. But, that was fine. But, something went on yesterday, and I wish somebody, because I was looking around, I couldn't find it. What was that little discussion that the coach was having with
Jalen Carter?
With whomever it was.
I think it had to do, I mean, I don't know specifically.
Personal foul on a
I assume
punt.
it had to do with the head slap
Yep.
on the punt.
They got very lucky.
Jalen Carter gave one of those old-fashioned head slaps to the guy in front of him. They fortunately, it was after the punt, so it didn't give Pittsburgh a first down. It ended up being a 3-yard penalty because the ball was down at the 6. So because of the unnecessary roughness for the head slap, they got the ball to 3 and then ended up driving all the way down the field anyway. So.
All right, the other game yesterday, the other marquee game, we got a couple Bills fans here. The Bills and the Lions. Bills' offense is fabulous. Obviously, Josh Allen's a favorite for the MVP. Saquon didn't do much yesterday. But the Bills have given up, guys, 40 points the last 2 weeks. Defensively, I don't think they're the Eagles equal. Kansas City, Mahomes got hurt. They win every week. The number 1 seed won't involve the AFC, but Vince, Paul, NFC, got Minnesota playing tonight. We got 2 Monday night games for God knows what reason.
Money.
Of course, money's the only reason. But they play the last game of the year. I think the Eagles can beat anybody anywhere now. I think they're going to run the table, although Sunday could be tough. A letdown game like Carolina was. How important, Dom, was the number 1 seed to the Eagles, and are they going to get it? Because they lose tiebreakers to Detroit and Minnesota.
Yeah, right now they do, and I think they probably will end up losing it. Even if they run the table, you look at Detroit's schedule. They finish with Minnesota.
Yep.
I mean, it's going to come down to that for in the NFC North, and also for that number 1 seed as far as the Eagles. It means that they would have to go and play in Detroit for the NFC Championship game rather than have the home field advantage. But you look yesterday, it didn't seem to bother Buffalo much. So, you'd like to have it. Is it the end of the world if they don't get it? No.
Vinny, yesterday the Eagles got the ball up 27-13. One of Pittsburgh's 2 possessions in the second half. They punted. Eagles got the ball on the 2-yard line with 10:29 left in the game, and that was that. To me, the most impressive drive of the season. They went 88 yards, wound up kneeling the clock out. To be able to do that, and they've been great in the second half, physicality takes over. 10-minute and 29-second drive, however, 21 plays. That last drive said to me, this team is real. If you didn't believe it before, believe it now.
Well, and a lot of it, I think, is a credit to their conditioning.
Yeah.
And, what they're doing in between the games, because it's sort of ironic that Saquon, there was that great article about how good he feels. He feels as good as he felt early in the season. Then he gets banged up yesterday a little bit.
Yep.
And Kenny Gainwell comes in. But, man, oh, man, what a job he did. And the fact that they can have him and the quickness and what he brings. And also he's got such great hands. So he's that third wide receiver out there, and just did a beautiful job. And, it was really fun to just watch him. He made this great play, and he was spinning all over the place. And I saw him in the huddle, and he just had this big grin on his face. He was having fun. And, man, that's what football is about, having fun. When you're out there winning and beating a team like that and knowing you've got them. It's a beautiful thing. So the team's rolling, and you got a lot of credit to the athletic trainers and the training staff and the conditioning that they're in, so that they can get into and have a drive like that. It doesn't hurt that it's 40 degrees out there. It's not like it's 90 up where or down where I'm at. But it was something very impressive, and I think a lot of teams will be talking about that drive.
Yeah. And John, it wasn't just. It was that entire second half.
Yeah.
They only had the ball 3 times.
24 minutes.
A 13-minute drive, play drive, another 13-play drive, and then the 21-play drive. They had the ball for 24 to 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And, Pittsburgh ran, I believe, 11 plays in the second half.
Wow.
That's just amazing.
That's incredible.
And they had Russell Wilson. Obviously, he didn't have a great game. Tomlin, he stopped Lamar Jackson. He didn't really do it to Jalen Hurts. What his biggest day of the year. T.J. Watt obviously got hurt. Pittsburgh's got some other good players. Najee Harris didn't have much of a game. But the real difference on Pittsburgh's side, I don't think it would have made a difference in who won the game. But Carl Pickens, who's a hell of a receiver, was out. And the Eagles' secondary, Quinion Mitchell and the others, didn't seem like they got even the beginning of a challenge there, Dom. Even the tight end Freiermuth, who caught the touchdown pass, didn't really have much of an effect on the game.
Yeah, it hurts when the team you're playing doesn't have their number 1 wide receiver, and he's one of the best in the league.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But, they've proven, and it's the biggest difference in this defense this year, they've got 2 cornerbacks that can, 3. Slay and the 2 rookies that can play against any wide receiver,
mm-hmm.
or, as we saw with the Rams, any group of wide receivers that goes up against them.
Vince, my wife wanted me to ask you a question.
Okay, here we go.
She said, how often does Vince talk to Mark Wahlberg, and what's he like? I think everybody here kind of has that in the back of their mind. He played you in the movie. Mm-hmm. A lot of people saw the movie. Mm-hmm. I know you guys are in contact to this day. You talked about your interaction with Brady, and he asked about him. How often you and Mark see each other or talk or whatever?
Well, we don't talk as much as we text. He's a big fan of my kids, and he loves, and so I sent him stuff, and Vinny, and some of the stuff that Vinny was doing, because what we would do when we were filming, and especially the football scenes, and they were changing sets, Mark and my son Vinny would be out on the field having a catch. He had 2 lefties. Vinny's 6 or 7 years old, and you got Mark throwing him bombs, And then he had a Honda motor scooter. And he used to drive it around the track at Franklin Field, and he'd have his shirt off, and Mark had his 12-pack, and there's my daughter, Gabby. She's smiling, and Vinny's behind that. And I have that trailer in my garage in my house. That Honda, he was there. But, most of it's just texting, but every once in a while I'll get on the phone or something. He's tired. He got tired of L.A., got tired of Hollywood, so he's out in he's out in Las Vegas now. I think he's in Henderson, Las Vegas, and he's going to be building I think he's in the project of building a studio there. And he's involved. He's found God, and then he's done a lot of stuff with Tunnels to Tower. Mark is just Mark. He was great. He was fun to work with. When he was first anointed, given me, we went to our when we started shooting a movie. It was right during 4th of July in 2005. And 2 weeks before the 4th of July, we went to Northeast High School, and that's where they choreographed all the football scenes, and all the football players were Arena Football League players. But I had Mark for at least an hour every day, just one-on-one. And I put him through all the drills that Coach Vermeil gave me. And he's a pretty good athlete, a heck of a golfer, and a heck of a basketball player. He's a lefty, that's the thing, But I gave him all the drills and, focused with him on fundamentals, and he just went out there and he felt that he had to make the team, and he was respected by all the guys on the field.
We got to take a break now, but is he I know he comes from Boston. Patriots won 38 Super Bowls, helps a little bit, but is he an Eagle fan because of you? Is he a Patriot fan?
Yeah, oh yeah, big-time Eagles fan, yeah. Oh, and he loves Philadelphia. He just loves coming to Philly. When he's in Philly, he's down in South Jersey. We saw him down at Delray Beach, and as soon as he saw us, he says, "My family's here," and it made a big deal of it. So it was really cool.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
We come back. We'll talk about that number 1 seed. Damo, get a couple of Damo's other impressions and guys who made a difference in yesterday's game. Tremendous game for the Eagles. The fans were absolutely unbelievable, as they always are here. They're unbelievable tonight. Come on down and say hi to Vince. We'll be back with the Monday Night Kickoff right after this. Stay with us.
Since 1991, the Great American Pub in Conshohocken has been offering an authentic and memorable experience for guests looking to dine in or enjoy the bar and nightlife. Located at 123 Fayette Street in Conshohocken, the Great American Pub has all your craft beer selections and some of the best food options anywhere. While you're there trying their buffalo chicken spring rolls or Maryland crab cakes, enjoy your favorite sporting events on their numerous televisions surrounding the bar. Visit them at 123 Fayette Street in Conshohocken or learn more online at thegreatamericanpub.com.
At Independence Blue Cross, we take care of the people who take care of you. Everyday heroes like firefighters, police officers, teachers, farmers, and healthcare workers. Doctors and hospitals across the region have IBX, and they know what it means to have reliable access to care. So whether you're saving lives or just trying to live a healthier life, count on IBX, the region's #1 health insurer for 85 years. Learn more at IBX.com.
A truly unique dining experience awaits you at Fogo de Chão. Fogo de Chão awes patrons with their history and tradition of authentic Brazilian steakhouse, offering many cuts of decadent fire-roasted meats prepared over an open fire and served tableside by trained gaucho chefs. Fogo de Chão, 1337 Chestnut Street in Center City, Philadelphia. For reservations, go to www.fogo.com or call 215-636-9700.
You won't see termites crawling across your floor, but thousands might be devouring the wood in your walls, weakening the structure of your home. For over 50 years, Termite Proofing and Pest Control of the Delaware Valley has been in the exterminating business. If you think you have a pest problem, they're the experts. Call them today at 215-639-5455. That's 215-639-5455 for TPPC. Termite Proofing and Pest Control of the Delaware Valley gives your home or business peace of mind, knowing your pest problem is in their hands. Located at 1560 Bristol Pike in Bensalem, they use only EPA-approved material applied by licensed technicians. Call Termite Proofing and Pest Control of the Delaware Valley at 215-639-5455.
We now return to the Great American Pub in Conshohocken for the Independence Blue Cross Monday Night Kickoff Show. Once again, here are your hosts, Paul Domowitch and Paul Jolovitz.
And second half of our show, we enjoy this so much every Monday night as Eagles keep winning. A lot of fans come out, a lot of atmosphere, a lot of everything. Not too much going wrong with the Eagles now, Damo. One thing that was going wrong and has been a little bit flippy-floppy all season, is Jake Elliott. He was pretty good yesterday, made 3 field goals, one of which was taken off the board, a couple of extra points. Were your fears allayed in any way about Jake Elliott, or is this just a start maybe of a turnaround, or was it just a one-off? What are you thinking?
We'll see. I mean, I'd like to see him, he still hasn't made a 50-plus yarder this year. So, I'd like to see him get tested on a game on the line one sometime here before the playoffs. But, yeah, it's a start that he made a couple yesterday.
And around the NFL, Pat Mahomes got hurt his ankle. The Lions, obviously, are decimated defensively, and Montgomery after the year offensively. Vince, the NFL season has 17 games. It was 14 and then moved to 16 when you played in the NFL. How big a deal is the injuries? How much of this is kind of an Armageddon march? Is it a survival test or a test of the best team, a combination of the two? What's that like?
Well, I think it's a combination of the two, and it's also depth. That's a good thing, and in the system that they're going with. But when I first came in, we had 6 preseason games, and then 14 games.
And the starters all play with Coach Vermeil, right?
Oh my God, yeah. I made the team on the fourth preseason game, in a game we had against the Dolphins down in Miami, which is cool. And I had 5 catches in the first half, and I knocked a few guys around a little bit. So he liked that, and that was it for me. But and then they went to 16, then they go to 17. The first couple 3 games, what you won't see a lot of is good fundamentals in those first couple 3 games, because you cannot have the kind of contact that Dick Vermeil would have. We had the Nutcracker drill, and it was insane. That everybody was doing the Nutcracker,
including. Want to explain that one?
Including the quarterbacks. Well, you had the center that was giving the ball to the quarterback, and then there was a running back behind him. And the center or whomever was going to be blocking whoever the player was head-to-head with. And that guy had to shed the blocker and get the running back. Now, when I did it, the defensive back, that's why the defensive back were pissed off at me. They hated me, is because I wouldn't go against a defensive back. I was playing 198, but I wanted to go against linebackers. I said, give me a linebacker, give me a challenge. I said, defensive backs, they can't, they're not tough. And that, that wasn't a good thing to do, but
you had to prove yourself.
But we were able to do that back then. It isn't. So now the conditioning aspect is so very important. And how you're going to play the player, and you see a lot of guys under Dick Vermeil. Let me tell you, you would never see a player under Dick Vermeil come and wave himself off the field. Absolutely, or Jim Mora. Who we knew very well when we were both together there with the Stars.
Old Marine.
Oh, yeah, Old Marine. So, good stuff. But, it's a credit to them and their conditioning, and yet they bring everybody together and the athletic trainers, and it's really a very, very important team. Yeah. We had all that back there with Dick Vermeil when we made that run into the Super Bowl.
And depth, Dom, was a big part of that. I mean, we'll talk about Vinny, your son, in a second. I mentioned what he's going on. But, Dom, depth is created by your general manager, Howie Roseman, the last few weeks, drafting everybody he's drafted, the young defense, Jalen, Quinion, Cooper, everybody else bringing in. Zach as a free agent with the Fangio's help. How big a part has Howie Roseman been of all this?
Yeah, I mean, he's probably going to be a runaway choice for the executive of the year. I mean, drafting those 2 DBs, signing Zach Bond and some of the people, and Saquon is like the icing on the cake. So yeah, I mean, he's been huge. And we were just talking about physicality and what you can't do now. I got to give Nick deserves credit for the fact that he's made sure that they've gone to more of their padded practices at end of the season.
Let me say something for everybody to be able to understand this. The CBA now, collective bargaining agreement, you're only allowed 14 full contact practices all year. Think about how many games there are and how many weeks of preseason, potential playoff weeks, the bye week. You got to space those out, right? Don't you?
Yeah, and teams have typically, towards the end of the season, they get away from physical, the padded practices and things like that, because that's when players are tired. Well, they took a new approach this year. They've gone to keeping most of the padded practices towards, the second half of the season. They're not giving them Mondays. Victory Monday used to be a given.
Load management.
It isn't anymore because they've just changed the whole approach they're using, and it's been a big help.
Vince, you had 14 practices on a good Thursday, didn't you? I mean, it's just completely changed.
Yeah, Dick, boy.
Everything was thud tempo. And you know what thud tempo is, and Coach Ramil's philosophy was if you stripped in and you just had your jersey on, he said then it would dampen the enthusiasm and the speed of the practice. So he kept everybody at thud. So thud was at least you had shoulder pads on, but most of the time it was full pads.
Yeah.
And that's. But it was that one Super Bowl out there that they lost when they lost to Oakland. He'll be the first to admit that he overtrained the. Yeah. He overtrained the team, and they worked him a little bit too hard during the week.
And he realized when he came back from retirement and took the Rams job.
Right.
I mean, he almost had the players. It was a different time. And there was a mutiny. I mean, he had to back off, and he realized, I can't coach the same way I did when I was with the Eagles.
Right. Yeah. And look what he got.
A Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Your son, Vinny, has had a long, winding road like you did. He's trying to make it, and he's been through, I know, a bunch. We've talked on the phone about him a bunch. Give us Vinny and where he is right now.
Well, he just had a great season last year. Actually, he was leading the league, the UFL. The UFL was the conversion of the XFL and the USFL, and he was playing for Memphis, the Memphis Showboats. And he was leading the league in touchdowns until the final game, which was pretty cool. And we thought pretty much that he'd get that sniff, but it didn't happen. But he thinks he's under contract with Memphis.
How old is he now?
He's 28, and he still loves football. And now his goal isn't so much the NFL as he just loves playing football, and he gets paid well. But he did something which was really crazy. We always messed around about him getting his Italian citizenship. So out of nowhere, clear blue sky, the Italian Olympic
Wait a minute, how does he get Italian citizenship?
Well, he's got a little paisan in his blood, know. So my grandfather is a Napolitan. Now he came from Naples in 1917 when he was 4 years old. So yeah, that's another story. But he got contacted by the Italian Olympic flag football team.
Wow.
And what they did is they helped him, and he got his Italian citizenship. And before you know it, he's in Helsinki or Lahti in Finland playing in the World Championship against 31 other countries, including the United States. And he wound up leading the league in touchdowns and receptions. So he's already pretty much going to be part of that, and he might be an Olympian. He's real excited about that.
That's great.
And it looks like, he's probably going to go back with Memphis and give it one more year. Who knows? Maybe somebody will want him, but, He's got what it takes. It's just, you need to get that opportunity. And right now, they're not pulling a lot of guys from the league.
Maybe Invincible 2 and Mark Wahlberg's son could play him. Damo, if I said to you 5 years ago that a buddy of mine's son would be in Helsinki with the Italian flag football team trying to get to the Olympics, you would have told me what?
I never would have envisioned that flag football would become an Olympic sport, but it's great. I mean, it's terrific. I think it's
He was so funny. He was playing against the United States. It was a big game, And so he's playing against the United. That's probably my Uber. So anyway, he said, Dad, these guys are talking trash, man. He said, I got to be laughing at him. He said, because you can't have any contact. And this one guy was talking, and he got a touchdown in there. He did the corner post, and this guy's still looking for his jock. He hasn't found it.
Can you imagine Tyreek Hill with Sveni Nunema trying to cover him in flag football? U.S. is going to destroy everybody. We know that. That's why we're doing it, right, Domo?
Well, let's see. Let's see who's going to be participating for the U.S. in the.
This is going to be like a dream team
situation. There are going to be some ex-players that are going to.
Well, that's some ex-players, but the CBA is a collective bargaining agreement. They're going to be able to do that. Mahomes is messing around, with that guy that's a quarterback for the USA team. I got a chance to meet him, and that was pretty interesting. He's got a little bit of an attitude, which is okay.
The emergence of flag football, a lot of it has to do with the whole concussion issue.
Oh yeah.
And that's great. I mean, it's terrific. I mean,
it's wonderful.
You're seeing more young people, both men and women, as they're growing up, playing that.
There's a
and
women's league
delaying going into tackle
the women's
football.
out there in Helsinki when they were doing the World Championship. Italy had the women's team. When Vinny would catch a pass, and they had this great Vinny Papale, 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 Papale. I mean, they had this whole thing. It was just like the coolest thing in the world. You should see the women play at the national, international level. They're
very good.
Oh my God,
Yeah.
insane. I mean, great athletes, and it's great. I think it's wonderful.
Yeah.
All right, Damo. Sunday, Eagles go to Washington as we get into the crazy Saturdays and Christmas days and Wednesdays, and the NFL play anywhere, anytime. Eagles have a traditional game this week, 1 o'clock in Washington against a team that usually gives them trouble, the Commanders, in a bad spot for them. They're going to win the division, they're 3 up with 3 to go, but they're looking at the number 1 seed. Commanders just screened by yesterday. Saints missed a 2-point conversion with no time left.
Yeah.
Is Sunday going to present any kind of problems? Is this team ready for a sandwich game, trap game, letdown, whatever you want to call it?
Well, it's not a gimme, and when you've won 9 in a row, at some point you're going to slip and not have your A game on a day.
10.
So you never know. But I mean, when they played them in Week 11, I mean, they seemed to have they understood how to play Jaden Daniels. I mean, that Vic Fangio had that defense ready for him. He had one of his poorest games of the season. I don't think that defense. I forget what Barkley ran for that day. It was nearly 150 yards. So I don't think that defense is capable of slowing down Saquon. And now if Jalen is going to, if what we saw Sunday is kind of what we're going to see more of, they should win the game. But, again, anything can happen.
Anything can happen. Anything probably will happen. We'll talk about the NFL and what did happen yesterday. More with Vince Papale, Paul Domowitch, the Independence Blue Cross Monday Night Kickoff. We are at the Great American Pub in Conshohocken, and we can't thank them enough, and we'll be back. Final segment following this.
Since 1991, the Great American Pub in Conshohocken has been offering an authentic and memorable experience for guests looking to dine in or enjoy the bar and nightlife. Located at 123 Fayette Street in Conshohocken, the Great American Pub has all your craft beer selections and some of the best food options anywhere. While you're there trying their buffalo chicken spring rolls or Maryland crab cakes, enjoy your favorite sporting events on their numerous televisions surrounding the bar. Visit them at 123 Fayette Street in Conshohocken or learn more online at thegreatamericanpub.com.
At Independence Blue Cross, we take care of the people who take care of you. Everyday heroes like firefighters, police officers, teachers, farmers, and healthcare workers. Doctors and hospitals across the region have IBX, and they know what it means to have reliable access to care. So whether you're saving lives or just trying to live a healthier life, count on IBX, the region's #1 health insurer for 85 years. Learn more at IBX.com.
A truly unique dining experience awaits you at Fogo de Chão. Fogo de Chão awes patrons with their history and tradition of authentic Brazilian steakhouse, offering many cuts of decadent fire-roasted meats prepared over an open fire and served tableside by trained gaucho chefs. Fogo de Chão, 1337 Chestnut Street in Center City, Philadelphia. For reservations, go to www.fogo.com or call 215-636-9700.
If you recognize my voice, you know about my music. What you may not know is since I founded it in 1992, the Elton John AIDS Foundation has reached over 100 million people. We've saved over 5 million lives. We've helped combat LGBTQ+ stigma and fought for civil rights. We need you to help end the AIDS epidemic once and for all. Learn about how you can help at eltonjohnaidsfoundation.org. And follow us at EJAF on Instagram to see our very latest accomplishments through the Rocket Fund.
We now return to the Great American Pub in Conshohocken for the Independence Blue Cross Monday Night Kickoff Show. Once again, here are your hosts, Paul Domowitch and Paul Jolovitz.
All righty, back with the final segment from the Great American Pub in Conshohocken. Vince Papale is our guest. Paul Domowitch, our co-host, as always. Thought Nakobe Dean played great yesterday. Lane Johnson in handling T.J. Watt. Pretty much a wonderful game. Everybody with the Eagles. Obviously a couple turnovers, but that's the price of doing business in the NFL. Points off turnovers is what counts. Eagles had 7. Pittsburgh had 3, despite losing the turnover battle. Domo, the NFL every week is a soap opera. Yesterday's episode, what hit you and why?
Well, I mean, Detroit losing obviously was big, and the fact that their defense got hammered by Buffalo. So, I mean, that's a bright spot for the Eagles looking forward. You had mentioned the injuries that Detroit has suffered. Lost one of their running backs yesterday. That's going to hurt them. I mean, that means Gibbs is going to have to play a lot more, and they're going to have to count on him. So, I'm going to be interested to see that last game of the regular season when they play Minnesota.
Vince, Dan Campbell, Detroit's coach, is a wonderful coach.
Oh, man, I'd love to play for him.
But a big-time gambler went for an onside kick yesterday, down 10, with a stupid new onside kick rule, and almost got returned for a touchdown. Goes forward all the time on fourth down. Why would you like to play for him?
Because he's a player's coach, you know, and the guy was a player. And I just like his whole attitude about the way he taxes the game or attacks the game. And he was a lot like Coach Vermeil, you know, and I like coaches like that. You know, I like coaches that show that their enthusiasm and their passion for the game and their passion and their appreciation of the athlete and what they put into it and how much they sacrifice themselves for the team. And Dan Campbell, to me, would be one of the first coaches. If anybody said, who would you like to play for in the NFL, he'd be right up there with the big guys.
All right, a lot of people would like to play for Andy Reid. His team blew out the Browns by Chiefs standards, 21-7. Mahomes' injury aside. I'm talking to a bunch of friends this week about Kansas City. Are they lucky? They win by one score every week. And what I say is, listen, it's not luck. When you're 13-1, you're that for a reason. Maybe you've got a little luck involved, and maybe you've gotten providence at the end of games or serendipity, whatever you want to call it. But winning is winning, isn't it? Scott Van Pelt says on ESPN, until somebody goes into Arrowhead and beats them in the playoffs, they're the two-time defending champs. What's your view of Kansas City?
Well, I think they're very different if you look at, say, the Eagles last year when they started 10-1. That was a tragic. That was a disaster waiting to happen. Yep. I mean, they had so many flaws. Their defense was struggling to hold on. Their offense, couldn't handle the blitz. You just knew it was a matter of time, and that's what happened. They ended up losing 6 of their last 7 and getting crushed in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. You don't see that with this Kansas City team. I mean, they know how to win. They're not winning pretty, and they're not blowing anybody out. I don't know that they're going to win the Super Bowl this year because I don't think you can keep doing this without, it's going to come back to bite them at some point.
Bad offensive line, very little speed.
Yeah. I mean, they've been through, 3 left tackles, I think. Mm-hmm. But, they've got Patrick Mahomes, and now he's got Hollywood Brown back. So that gives them some speed on the outside. But I think Buffalo or Baltimore is going to end up winning the AFC, not Kansas City.
Vince, Buffalo's got Josh Allen. We talk about the MVP. I always say this on WIP. I'm not big on individual awards. I'll talk about them. But to me, an individual award is cool for you, your agent, your family. Josh Allen's going to win the MVP. I think he won it yesterday. Regardless, I don't care what Saquon does the rest of the way. So let's say that's gone. And if he does win it, that's fantastic. But how important to you, when you played, obviously you weren't going to win the MVP of the NFL, but how important do you think individual awards would have been to you, and how much is it about TEAM?
Oh, well, it's a tribute to the team. If Saquon won it, to the offensive line, to the staff, to everyone there and everybody in the Eagles organization. It would be the great thing, So, and it's nice to see a young kid get up there when he's interviewed and he talks about everybody else out there in the team. And when you get that, you see that humility with Saquon. So, hey, listen, you just roll with it and you see what's going on. I have to tell you, you're talking about this and that in the awards. One of the ones that I got that meant the most was in '98. I was voted Man of the Year by the Eagles, and then I went out in Chicago and I was in the top 3 with Archie Manning and this guy number 12 Roger Staubach.
In '98?
Yeah, 80. I mean,
big competition.
Yeah, not 98, 78. Yeah. 78. Yeah, so. That was a real thrill, but, and now if you didn't win the Heisman Trophy, you got the kid from Colorado, maybe the other guy should have been from Boise. But, hey, it is what it is, But that's the way life's going to be. That's why they have elections. So somebody's going to win, somebody's going to lose.
Life's going to be that way, and Josh Allen is Josh Allen. He's been unbelievable in the regular season, deserves everything he's going to get, but statistically has been fine in the playoffs, but he hadn't been great when the moments were the greatest. And to me, I'm waiting for Josh Allen to fail in the playoffs, to be completely honest with you. Until he shows he can succeed, I'm assuming something's going to go wrong. Same with Lamar Jackson. You guys agree with me on that one?
that they haven't done it in the playoffs?
Well, yeah, they have a lot of pressure to do it. NFL is not about regular season. Your legacy is all what you do in the playoffs.
I think there's more pressure with respect to that on Lamar Jackson than there is Josh Allen, because there have been a couple seasons here where, Baltimore was supposed to beat Kansas City and couldn't. I think what's remarkable here in the AFC is you're talking Andy and his two ex-coaches, Sean McDermott and John Harbaugh.
Yep.
The guys that he groomed. One of those three teams is going to win. So it's great.
What do you think about the AFC, Vince?
I don't know. What's that?
Just take care of business and worry about it.
But I do love Josh Allen. I've always been a big Buffalo fan and a Marv Levy fan back in the day. So it's a lot of fun. They'll have their battles over there. We got enough to deal with here in the NFC. So I like that.
All right, dealing with that, Vince Papale was who he was, and you were great. And obviously the movie, and you're a legend in your own town, and people came out to see it tonight. What Eagle on the 2024 team reminds you the most of Vincent Papale Sr.?
Who would it be?
Covey?
No, he's too quick for me. He's just small.
Cooper DeJean.
Cooper. I met him the other day. Cooper DeJean, the 32. The safety, the
Blankenship.
Man, I tell you what, he's more me.
Yeah.
I was a wide receiver that should have been a safety. I should have played in the defense because the way I like to hit people. And
Covey?
and Britton Covey, I mean he's there, but he's that little flashback, But I tell you, I just think any one of those, Cooper or whatever, would be right up there with the big guys.
All right, guys, we only got a couple more minutes. Obviously, Jalen Hurts goes down in big trouble. Saquon, Jalen Carter. Other than the obvious, guys, what's the one thing that can't happen the final 3 weeks for the Eagles to think they're going to win the Super Bowl? Is it a team loss? Is it a seed loss? Is it losing a player? What can't happen that has a chance of happening?
I mean, we found out in 2017 that you can survive anything.
Yeah,
they lost their quarterback. Nick Foles replaces him, and they go win the Super Bowl.
And Wentz might play Saturday, by the way, for Kansas City.
If I look, the most irreplaceable. There's two guys on defense right now that I'm not sure they could survive the loss of. One is Jalen Carter. Mm-hmm. The other is Zach Bond. One of those guys goes down. I'd be starting to sweat if I were an Eagles fan.
Is Zach Bond, Zach Bond was obviously a draft pick from Wisconsin, been in the league a few years, but he's kind of out of nowhere this year. He went from special teams guy to all-pro, it looks like. Does Zach Bond mentally remind you of you in any way?
Well, I never got to be all-pro, but, he's one of those kind of guys. But, one of the things I would worry so much about is just a little bit of overconfidence. Let's just stay humble and stay together as a team. They got a beautiful thing going on right now. And enough of this locker room bickering and all this other crap. Okay, we're through that. Let's go and let's stay together as a team, be unified.
We got about a minute. How tough is it? They've won 10 in a row. Could be 13. Could be whatever. 17 if they win the Super Bowl. How hard is it to keep a team that beat the hell out of everybody when they needed to from becoming overconfident?
Well, you just have those talks in the locker room and talk about humility and talking about where they came from and staying together as a team. And no one's more important than the other one. And I think they're starting to believe that. Some guys will say it and not believe it, but I really think this Eagles team now believes that.
Yeah.
Tom, have you been around teams that got overconfident?
Oh, sure. I've been covering football for so long that this is they're a young, especially the defense. They're very young, and when you've had this kind of success, it's easy to get overconfident. But I think between Vic Fangio and Nick Sirianni, they're not going to let that happen. And some of the veterans in that locker room, I don't think overconfidence is going to kill this team. I wouldn't mind seeing them lose here someplace, just because, I don't like to see a team on a winning streak go into the playoffs because you think it's going to, they're going to just show up and have a bad day sooner or later. So
I don't necessarily believe you got to lose. I can see why you say that, but why not win 17 in a row?
Sure.
It's hard to do.
New England said that one year.
Yeah. It's not easy to do. Well, Vince Papale has won $17 million in a row. He's won at life. He is up from Florida, was at the game yesterday, is beloved by great Eagle fans.
Thank you. Yeah, it's great to be here.
Thank you so much. Let's do it again next year.
Let's go.
All right.
Hey, thanks. Yeah, great to see you, Paul.
Appreciate it.
Thanks. Thank you, everybody.
Damo, we got a team on a roll, a juggernaut, playing Washington next week. We'll be here next Monday night at 6 o'clock with Sean Landetta. Let's rock. Let's do it again.
And you just keep washing that shirt, okay?
I will keep spilling stuff on it and then washing it, absolutely. Chris Irmer has produced this fine program tonight. Thank you, Chris. Gus Barber back at the station, spinning the knobs, turning the dials, engineering. Thanks to everybody who came out, watched, and listened. For Paul Domowitch and Vince Papale, I'm Paul Jolovitz for the Independence Blue Cross Monday Night Kickoff, saying good night, have a great week, happy holidays, and go Eagles.